BryzGarage. Today we're going to be changing out the brake rotors and brakes on this 2007 Dodge Caravan. This is a regular Caravan, not a Grand Caravan. Here's my rotors, my brakes, grease, air tools, brake cleaner, sockets, socket set and towels, and then jack and jack stand. May need more tools as we go along, but this is pretty easy to do it at your home kind of job, so a lot better than paying somebody else to do it. So we're gonna walk you through this. First thing we're gonna do is just loosen up these lug nuts. You can do it with the lug nut wrench that came with your vehicle. You can also use the jack that came with your vehicle, but we're gonna loosen these up. I'm gonna do it with my old air tools. All right, so that's the first thing we're gonna do. Just loosen them, don't take them off. Okay, so I used a 19mm socket to loosen up the lug nuts. Next thing we're going to do is jack this van up. You'll see a little piece of framework there along the van. That's what we're going to set our jack stand up to, and we're just going to crank this bad boy up. Alright, now our tire is lifted up off the ground, so we're gonna place this jack stand underneath. Alright, like so, and I'll adjust it here in a second. And then now we're gonna then we'll slowly let the jack down a little bit. If you do not have a jack, hydraulic jack, and all you have is your scissor jack, you can put it there. If you don't have a jack stand, I would say put your tire under your vehicle. I always do as a precaution, just set it there where the jack stand is. That's just in case if the scissor jack gives away. It just is a safety measure. So yeah, I'm gonna release this down a little bit and let it lie on the jack stand. Then I'm gonna finish taking off the lugs off the tire. After you remove your tire, you're gonna wanna turn your axle like this, like as such, to the right, where we're working on the passenger side. This is so you can get better access to the caliper, all the caliper bolts. So we now have the wheel off. Right there. There's our jack stand. So here's our rotor, old rotor. Here is the caliper, the caliper pins, bolts. We also have a bracket right here. This bracket is held on back here. So I'm going to give you specs at the end of this, but this is like what the proper torque is on these to when you're tightening them back up. But this is a 21 millimeter, this bigger one, and then this smaller one here, right here, is a 12, and there's some on the bottom, some on the top. So 21, 12, 12, 21. So yeah, anyway, the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to remove these two 12s, so this one here and that one there. We're going to keep on the 21, because if you're just changing your brakes out, you don't need to take off this this caliper bracket right here, or rotor bracket, caliper bracket. You won't need to pull that off. Some of the other items I forgot to say is I got a bungee cord. You can use anything equivalent, a strong piece of string, coat hanger wire, wire tie, whatever. Once you undo this caliper, you don't want it hanging by the brake line, so you're going to want to hook it up to something. So have something. I just put it around my coil spring there, and we'll just hang it from there. C-clamp. There's also a tool for it. I never have bought that tool. I always just use this because it's common, it's in handy, so I've always just used that. And the where'd it go? The other thing, torque wrench. So if you don't have one, get one. If you're gonna work on cars, I'd suggest you get one because you can, you know, make sure they're at proper torque. Alright, now that we got those off, we're just going to simply pull these back a hair, and we're just going to slide this back like so. Okay, you're going to know this, your little brake actuator, or whatever it's technically called. You can see that it's sticking out. I don't know if you can from that angle, but you can see it out, and that's what we're going to use the C-clamp for. We're going to put our old brake here and our C-clamp, and we're going to push it back. Some people open up their master brake cylinder up there, just take off the lid so they can have better pressure. I never have, but you know, if it's really difficult for you to do, then you'll want to do that. So we're just going to hang this up here like so. Again, this is just to prevent it from just hanging there. You definitely don't want to do that and break your brake line. Okay, so we're just going to leave it there. Okay, so now that we have removed the caliper, you can now access your brakes, which are right here. These are your brake pads. You can see mine aren't too bad. It's the rotors I'm wanting to change. I haven't changed them for a while. I don't know. They don't look too bad. Ways you can tell is, like, if you get your brake pad to hopefully I'm showing you this. I've seen it on an angle. If you get it too low, you're gonna have metal on metal. So you're gonna be scratching this metal against this, and I've done that before, and it's not a good thing. So you can hear a real loud metal on metal sound. So anyway, yeah, just you can just remove the brake pads right here, these two, and then you can just slap your new ones back on. I'll show you here in a little bit, and you can skip ahead if you're not going to change your rotor. All right, so now that we've removed our brake pads, we now have these two 21mm bolts for this caliper bracket, and I'm telling you, it can be a pain in the ass to break free. There's high torque on these, high torque pounds. So anyway, we're gonna loosen these up. Again, I might need a breaker bar or something like that. I have my trusty snap-on. I think it's 12-inch. We're gonna try that first and see if we can get that to break free. Alright, there we go. That wasn't too bad. Sometimes it can be a big old pain, but that wasn't too bad. Alright, got the bolts. Here's the bracket. Now we're going to simply remove our rotor. Sometimes these can be a pain to get off. Looks like maybe this one will be. There's a little pin, I don't know if you can see it, some type of washer right there. You can just take a rubber mallet, lightly tap on the back of this to get it off. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so this right here was a little washer that I had to remove. I just had to use a little flathead screwdriver, kind of pry up those prongs, and then it just spun right off, so not a big deal. But anyway, there's that. That just kind of helped hold the rotor on. Here's my old rotor. Don't know if you can see very good, but you can see it's really not too bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. Haven't changed these for a while, so it's time. So next thing I'm going to do is put on my new rotors. But before I do that, I'm going to clean them off. So here's my new rotors. As you can see, they have like dirt or oil, grease, whatever from the manufacturer. I'm just going to spray some brake cleaner on them, wipe them off really nice and clean, get them all sparkly, and we'll simply put it back on. Okay, so now we're going to reassemble all this back together. We got a brand new clean rotor on. I put back on the little washer there. Next thing we're going to do is look at the caliper bracket here. And as you can see, there's some caliper pins with a boot on them right there. You want to be careful with the boot. You don't want to rip it off, but it just kind of comes on, and you'll see they're all greased up, lubed up. You want to clean all that grease out, and it just comes right out. There's some grease in there, but you'll want to just put all new grease on there, just give it a nice coat, and then once you're done, you're going to slip your boot back on just like so. You'll hear it pop, just like that. So it's good. You'll do the same one to the bottom there, and you're going to do this to your caliper bracket. So that's all right. So before I started this video, I couldn't find this stuff. This is my VersaChem synthetic caliper grease and brake quiet. So you can use this on both the outside of your pads and also your caliper pins. So I'm gonna use this for my caliper pins. Okay, so now we're gonna put back on the caliper bracket, and it's just gonna simply go on like this in between the rotor here and this bracket. Then we're going to put in our 21mm bolts. Okay, and I'm not going to tighten them down to the correct torque at this time. I'm gonna put it on here so you know. I'll put it right here, but I'm just kind of hand tighten it for just one quick sec, so I can show you the next step. Now, so my brakes didn't come with these, and my new brakes. Some brakes do, some don't. This is like a little, I don't know, pad, shield. I'm not sure what the correct term is, but it just goes on top of your brake like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to put brake grease right here, synthetic brake grease. You're going to put it on the inside, not on the pad itself. Don't get it on this side where your brake touches the rotor. Just simply on this side before you make contact, and that's just going to keep them nice and quiet. So I'm going to clean these up because I didn't get new ones. Also, your kit may have these. If you can see them, they're little clips. they pop out. You can get brand new ones. You want to make sure those are in there when you're assembling this all back together, because it helps keep your brake pads straight and keeps them in there nice and snug. But I'm going to clean those. Alright, so now that we got that all clean, this is the outside, this is your inside. You're just going to apply a little glob there of the brake quiet stuff, and just kind of smear it around, nice even coat. Again, this only goes on the back side of the brake pad. Just kind of get it all around there, like that. Then take your brake pad, then you're just going to put it just like that. That's just going to keep it quiet for you. Okay, so do that to the other one, and then I'll show you what's next. Okay, so what I've done is I put my brake pad in on this side, on the outside, and I'm going to put my other one on the inside of the caliper. But first, remember I was telling you, you need to push this this little hydraulic cylinder in. What I do is I have my old brake pad here. You just set it down in there, and you take a C-clamp or that tool, whatever it's called, and you're just going to keep twisting until you get it all the way in there. And again, you may have to open up your master cylinder. It might make it a little easier, but I'm really having to use no force at this. Some people end up doing that, and it works for them. And this is just pushing all that hydraulic fluid back up into that brake master cylinder. So that's all it's doing. So now that's back, so I can put my other pad there, and then we're going to assemble it onto the caliper bracket. So I'm just going to undo the vise here, take my old one, set that aside, grab my new one, see, it's going to go right there. We're going to set that in here. Again, sometimes these little clips in here can be a little tricky to get your pad to sit in there just right, but it just goes in there just like so. And then next thing, you're going to have to push in these pins right here, these caliper pins like that, to get your caliper to sit down just right. And it's just going to sit there, and now I'm going to put back these bolts. Alright, so in my experience, it helps if you do the top one first to try to get that one in there, and then do your bottom. But sometimes it's just a matter of getting this caliper to sit just right. So we're going to grab our 12 millimeter socket here. We're going to tighten this up. Alright, so now I got my caliper back on. I'm going to, I got my 12 millimeter bolts in there. These are 26 foot-pounds, and these 21s over here, they are roughly about 130. My torque wrench does not torque that much, so I can go up to 100 with mine. So I'm going to go up to 100, and then I'm going to just give it one more little turn, and that should be pretty close. But yeah, these 21 millimeters are 130. These are about 26, these caliper pin bolts. You're going to notice it has a little bit of play, if you can see this. So that's because we took in that cylinder with the vice grip. That gives it play. And when we're finished, we're going to apply our brakes. We're going to push our brakes a few times, and you're going to notice your brake's going to drop right to the floor. But you're going to keep pumping them, and then eventually all that fluid that you just pushed up there is going to come all the way back, and it's going to clamp your new rotor here. So I'm going to torque these to spec, and we'll put the tire back on. Okay, so we finished up, we put our wheel back on, we torqued these wheels to 100 foot-pounds. So now we're gonna push this brake. We did both the front rotors. So I'm gonna push the brake here. And I don't know if you're gonna really be able to tell right at first how different they are, but you will after. Now this should drop right to the floor when I go to press this. And that's just putting all the brake fluid up to the master cylinder down into the little calipers. Okay, here we go. So you see how easy that was to drop? Just go nice and slow, press it again, and you're just pushing it down to fill all the lines again. Do it again. You want to keep doing it until it feels normal to you. See, now it's hard, and I'm kind of forcing it to go down. So now we're back to that normal feeling. So once you get it there, you want to try driving it. Just start by backing out, apply your brakes, just make sure everything's working correct before you go onto the road, and just go in your neighborhood and just drive real slow. Make sure you got everything set up right, but you should. Anyway, this is BryzGarage. Thanks for watching my video on changing brakes and rotors. And if you like this video and you'd like to see more, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Take care. Bye.